My Airbnb guest hasn't left, and they say it's their house now. I used to think horror stories about Airbnb guests overstaying their welcome were exaggerated. Until it happened to me. And now, I'm not even sure I'm the one who belongs here anymore. For context, I own a small house just outside Portland. I inherited it from my aunt a couple years ago, and since I freelance full-time from home, I figured renting out the basement suite on Airbnb would help cover bills. It's got a separate entrance, kitchenette, its own bathroom, basically a nice little guest apartment. I've had 0 issues in 2 years. 5-star ratings across the board. Until Erin. Erin booked a 2-week stay. She was polite in her messages, said she was in between apartments and needed a quiet place to work remotely while she got her situation sorted. Fine by me. She showed up exactly on time. Late 30s, kind of artsy looking, soft-spoken. She wore this long wool coat even though it was warm out, but hey, Portland. Everyone's got a thing. The first couple of days were totally normal. I'd hear her pacing around down there sometimes, or having Zoom meetings. No weird noises. No complaints. We passed each other on the front steps once and exchanged polite smiles. That was about it. Then, around day 10, I got a message from her through the Airbnb app. Just one line. "Hey, can we discuss an extension? Thanks." I replied right away, saying sure, happy to work something out if she needed more time. But then, nothing. She never responded. Her original reservation ended 2 days later, and I figured maybe she changed her mind or found another place. But when I came home the next afternoon, her car was still in the driveway. I texted her. No reply. Knocked on the basement door. No answer. I waited a few more hours before sending her a final message saying I'd need to go down and check on the suite. I don't like doing that, it feels invasive, but legally I'm allowed to if there's no communication and the reservation is over. So I unlocked the door. Stepped inside. Everything was perfectly neat. Her stuff was still there, neatly folded clothes, food in the mini fridge, laptop on the desk like she'd just gone out for a walk. Except she hadn't. Because as I stood there, trying to figure out what to do next, I heard the soft creak of the bedroom door opening behind me. Erin stood there, completely still, wearing that same wool coat. Her eyes were red. Not like she'd been crying. Red like she hadn't slept in days. "You're not supposed to be here," she said quietly. I blinked. "Erin, your reservation ended yesterday." I tried reaching out. She tilted her head. "No. I think you're confused. This is my home." I actually laughed. A nervous, reflexive laugh. No, this is my house. I live here." She didn't blink. Didn't move. Just said, "Not anymore." I didn't respond to Erin right away. I couldn't. The way she said it, "not anymore," it wasn't dramatic or angry. It was like she truly believed it. Like she was calmly correcting me about the weather. We stood in silence for what felt like a minute, but was probably 10 seconds. Her eyes never left mine. I finally managed to clear my throat and said, "Look, I think there's been a misunderstanding. You're welcome to extend your stay, but we need to do that through the app. Legally." Erin just turned around and walked back into the bedroom. Didn't say a word. The door closed with a soft click. I backed out of the basement like I'd just seen a wild animal, slow, no sudden moves, heart in my throat. Upstairs, I immediately called Airbnb support. I explained the situation: the guest overstayed, won't communicate, and now claims this is her house. The rep was polite, but clearly reading off a script. Said they'd escalate to trust and safety, and to avoid confrontation in the meantime. They emailed me a checklist of steps. One of them was, do not enter the space again without police present if the guest is uncooperative. Cool. Super comforting. That night, I didn't sleep. I kept thinking about how she was just down there. Below me. Quiet. The weird part? No sounds at all. No footsteps. No plumbing noises. Nothing. It was like the basement had gone dead silent. Around 3 a.m., I got up to get a glass of water and noticed the door to the basement, the inside door, the one that connects to my kitchen, was unlocked. I never leave it that way. I locked it. Double-checked it. The next morning, I called the non-emergency police line. Explained everything. They sent an officer, who was nice but basically shrugged. She paid to stay here, right? Yes. For 2 weeks. That ended 2 days ago. But she was invited in. And she's got her belongings here. In Oregon, that makes it a civil issue. We can't physically remove her unless there's a court order or she's committing a crime. What about claiming it's her house? He sighed. People say weird things all the time. Until she's violent or threatening, there's not much we can do. So now I've got a stranger in my basement who won't leave. Who thinks this is her home. And nobody's doing anything about it. Here's the part that messed me up, though. After the cop left, I went back down to take photos of the unit for legal purposes. Erin was gone. Her stuff was still there, but she wasn't. But on the kitchen counter was a piece of paper. Old, yellowed like it had been torn from a notebook in the 80s. In delicate cursive, it said, "Erin, remember the rules. Don't let him know too soon. Not until the house forgets him." What the hell? So, I'm officially losing my grip. After finding that weird note, don't let him know too soon. Not until the house forgets him. I did what any rational, mildly panicked person would do. I Googled it. The exact phrase. Quotes and all. Nothing. No urban legend, no Reddit thread, no creepypasta. Just a bunch of irrelevant hits and one blog about memory loss and haunted spaces that made me slam my laptop shut. Not helpful. At this point, Erin had been living in my basement 3 days past her reservation. No response on the Airbnb app. No answer when I knocked. But her stuff was still down there, neat and untouched. Like she was using it to stage a life she wasn't living. I decided to check the external security cam, the one above the basement entrance. Here's where it got even weirder. I scrubbed through the last 3 nights. Every time I saw movement, it was me leaving for coffee, checking the mailbox. Erin never appeared once. No comings, no goings. But I know she's there. I've heard her door open. I've heard faint music. I even smelled burnt sage one morning, which I definitely didn't burn. Then, something caught my eye on the footage from the night I found the note. At 2:47 a.m., the basement door, the one that leads into my kitchen, opened by itself. No one on camera. Just the door swinging open slowly, like a gentle breeze pushed it. Except I don't keep any windows open. And there's no draft down there. I know what you're thinking, this has to be a prank. Or some kind of breakdown. Believe me, I want it to be either of those. But today, this morning, Erin spoke to me again. I was taking out the trash when I saw her sitting in the garden chairs out back, barefoot, staring at the overgrown ivy on the fence like it was playing a movie. I hesitated, then said, "Hey, Erin. We need to talk." She didn't turn her head. Just said, "You're fading." Excuse me? You feel it, don't you? The way things are slipping. Your toothbrush moved. Your keys are in the wrong pocket. You can't remember when you bought that rug in the hall. She finally turned and looked at me. And I swear to God, she smiled like we were sharing a joke. "This house likes me better," she whispered. "It's choosing." I stood there, stunned, gripping a bag of trash like an idiot. I wanted to argue. To tell her she was insane. But she got up and walked back toward the basement, humming. That's when I noticed something. The grass where she'd been sitting was dead. Like completely. A perfect brown circle. I didn't imagine that. I packed a bag last night and crashed at my friend Leo's place across town. I told him some of what's going on and left out the houses for getting me bit because, sanity, and just said I had a weird squatter situation that might get ugly. He offered his guest room, no questions asked. But here's the thing, I barely slept. Not because it wasn't comfortable. It was. But all night, I had this low-level pulling sensation in my chest. Like when you leave your phone behind and your brain keeps tapping its phantom pocket, only deeper. Emotional. Gravitational, almost. Around 3 a.m. I had this sudden panic that I'd forgotten to lock my front door. Not my car. Not Leo's place. My house. I nearly called an Uber right then and there just to go back and check. I didn't. I held out. This morning, I drove back to my house. Street looked the same. My car was untouched. But the moment I stepped onto the front porch, something felt off. The air smelled different. Not bad, just unfamiliar. Like someone else had been lighting incense. Or baking something weird. Also, my doormat was upside down. I'm not that careless. I bend to fix it and realize this isn't even my doormat. Mine was plain black rubber. This one had a little cartoon owl on it that said home is where the heart is. My chest went cold. Inside, more subtle changes. My houseplants were in different corners. My mail was stacked neatly on the wrong end table. The framed photo of me and my dad, normally on the entry shelf, was gone. I opened the basement door and called down. Aaron? No answer. Of course. I took one step down. 2. Then stopped. Something was taped to the wall halfway down the staircase. It was my photo. The one with my dad. Only the frame was gone, and someone had scratched out my face. Not scribbled, scratched, like with a needle. Tiny spirals radiating out from the blank space where my eyes had been. I backed up. Slammed the door. Here's the kicker, I opened the Airbnb app to check her reservation history again. Still ended on the same date. But now, her profile picture is different. It used to be her black hair, wool coat, grainy cafe selfie. Now it's a photo of my house. From inside. A shot of the living room from a corner I don't recognize. Different lighting. Different art on the walls. And the strangest thing? There's someone sitting on the couch in the distance. Blurry. Just out of focus. But I swear to God, it looks like me. I've spent most of today trying to convince myself that I'm not hallucinating. I screenshotted the Airbnb profile, Aaron's new photo, the one that shows my house from a weird angle with the blurry figure on the couch, and sent it to Leo. Just asked, "You see anything weird about this?" He replied, "Why are you sending me your own Airbnb listing?" I stared at that text for 5 minutes. I don't have a listing. I never listed the main house. Only the basement. I pulled up the Airbnb app again. The listing that had once been the basement suite now just said, private home, entire property, with my address. And the host? Still Aaron. I tried to message her through the app again, and it gave me a warning. You can't contact this host outside of an active booking. Then my phone buzzed. A notification from Airbnb. Thanks for checking in, Aaron. Hope you enjoy your stay. I almost dropped my phone. I ran to my laptop. Opened my own Airbnb account. It wouldn't let me log in. Wrong password. Reset link never arrived. As far as the site is concerned, I no longer have a host account. I checked my email. I'd gotten a confirmation of a cancelled listing, but dated 2 weeks ago. While Aaron was still staying in the house. At this point, I started panicking. Like full-on heart racing, hand shaking, pacing the room meltdown. I pulled out my wallet to grab my ID, just to make sure I still exist. Except my ID, my driver's license, had an address on it I've never lived at. Different street, same city. Still had my name, my face, but I swear I'd never seen that address in my life. I called Leo again, voice shaking. "Dude, something is seriously wrong," I said. "You remember coming over to my place last month to help fix that window latch, right?" Long pause. Then he goes, "Wait, your place?" "No man, we did that at my house." "You were staying here for a few days, remember? Said your old rental was giving you bad vibes." I didn't know what to say. My mouth opened, then shut. My brain was spinning. I hung up. Walked around the house slowly. Opening drawers. Checking closets. Everything was mine, but not mine. My hoodie was folded the way I don't fold it. My coffee mugs were alphabetized by brand. My Netflix account was logged in, but the profile names were different. Instead of me, guest, and old roommate, the profiles now said Aaron. Guest. Previous. I opened previous. Only one show was in the watch history. Forgotten Places, when homes replace their owners. No episode thumbnails. No descriptions. Just one season, 8 episodes. All marked watched. I played the first one. The screen stayed black, but I heard my own voice. Garbled. Stuttering. Saying something like, "Wait, no, this isn't right, I live here, this is my house." Then static. I slammed the laptop shut. Erin hasn't come upstairs. I don't know if she needs to. I think she's already won whatever this is. Because the scariest part? Tonight, I stood in front of the bathroom mirror and stared at myself for 10 minutes. Just to make sure I still looked like me. And somewhere in those 10 minutes, I swear my reflection blinked when I didn't. Last night was the first time I seriously considered burning the place down. Don't worry, I didn't. But that thought came in hot and heavy around 2 a.m., when I found the basement door wide open again, despite locking it and sliding the deadbolt. I know I did. I triple-checked. Erin wasn't in the basement. Her coat was hanging on a hook that didn't exist before. I don't even have a coat hook in that hallway. It was just there, now. Rusted bronze. And the coat, her long gray one, was completely dry, even though it had been raining for 2 days straight. I went back upstairs and sat at the kitchen table with a baseball bat in my lap, my phone in one hand, watching the security cam feed on the app. I didn't care if it was useless before, maybe I'd catch something this time. Nothing. But here's where it gets insane. At 3:17 a.m., a new feed appeared in the app. It was labeled Hallway View. I don't have a hallway cam. I tapped it. The feed opened up to show my upstairs hallway, looking straight at the bathroom. Except, everything looked older. The wallpaper was faded, the floor warped, the lighting dimmer. Like a version of my house from decades ago. And on the wall, across from the bathroom, hung a mirror that doesn't exist in my real house. In that mirror, I saw Erin. She was standing behind me. I spun around so fast I fell out of the chair. Nothing. No one behind me. My hallway was normal. But when I looked back at the app, the feed was gone. No trace of hallway view. Like it had never been there. I decided then, I was going to break into Erin's room. I didn't care if it crossed a line. I had to see what she was doing down there. I grabbed the spare key, took the basement steps slowly, and unlocked her bedroom door. It wasn't locked. It never had a lock before. But it clicked when I turned the knob, like something had disengaged. Inside, there was nothing. No bed. No clothes. No laptop. The room was empty. The walls were stripped down to wood slats, like the drywall had been peeled off years ago. Dusty. Cold. It smelled like old stone and iron. Like a basement that hadn't been lived in since the 60s. Only one thing was there. A chair in the middle of the room, facing the far wall. On it sat a small, wooden box. I walked up to it, heart pounding. Inside the box? A set of old house keys, and a photo of me, standing on the porch. Smiling. The back of the photo said, in the same delicate cursive as the first note. Congratulations, Aaron. The house accepts you. Previous occupant has been catalogued. I staggered back, slammed the box shut, and turned to leave. And Erin was standing in the doorway. She looked calm. Peaceful, even. I didn't want it to be you, she said. But the house always knows who it needs. I tried to shove past her. She didn't stop me. Just whispered, it's almost over. I locked myself in my bedroom. Piled furniture against the door. Slept in bursts. And when I woke up this morning, everything was back to normal. Furniture in the right place. My ID had my real address again. Leo texted me first asking if I wanted to grab lunch. It's like it never happened. But I know it did. Because when I looked out the window just now, I saw a moving van in the driveway. And a young couple standing on the porch with Erin, all smiles, as she handed them a set of keys. My keys. I've been driving around aimlessly for hours. No destination. Just gas station coffee in back roads I barely recognize. I can't go back to Leo's, he won't understand. He doesn't remember anything. When I mentioned Erin this morning over text, he replied. Who's Erin? That old lady realtor? Old lady? Erin looks 30, maybe. I called him to ask what he meant. He said she was the nice gray-haired woman who sold his cousin a house last year. I asked him to describe her, he said long coat, soft voice, smelled like cloves. I nearly dropped the phone. He has no idea what he just confirmed. Erin isn't just here. She's everywhere. And people don't notice when she moves in. They just forget who came before. Like I'm starting to. When I stopped at a diner earlier to eat, the hostess asked for my name for the waitlist. I blanked. Totally blanked. Stood there with my mouth open like some glitching NPC. I said Eric. That's not my name. Not even close. But it felt right. Familiar, somehow. I know that sounds like nothing, but it's slipping. Little things. I almost brushed my teeth with a pen this morning. I called my mom and nearly forgot how to end the call. I just held the phone to my ear like she was still talking. The seconds stretched into silence. And when I checked the Airbnb app again, just on instinct, I saw a new listing pop up. Charming home near Forest Park, cozy energy, great light. It was my house. Photos taken during golden hour. Warm, perfect. The host? Erin. Again. Only now her name was spelled Erin, and the profile said she was a local historian and preservation advocate. I clicked through the reviews. All glowing. But the oldest one, dated a year before I even started renting the basement, chilled me to the bone. It said, Erin made me feel so at home. Like I'd always been there. Even when I couldn't quite remember arriving. She said I must have always been part of the house. I think she's right. I hope I get to stay forever. Username, archiveguest_191. Date, April 15, 2024. That's today. Exactly a year ago. I stared at that username archiveguest_191 until it started to blur. Like it wanted to rearrange itself into something else. Something like, mine. I slammed the phone down and screamed in my car until I saw spots. I don't know who I am anymore. My name. My house. My past. It's all malleable now. Like Erin or whatever has rewritten the file that is me, and now the system is just autocorrecting. But there's one thing she hasn't accounted for. That box in the basement. The one with the photo and keys? I took it. It's in my car. I don't know why, but it feels tethered to something. A way back? Or a door further in? All I know is, I'm going back tonight. One last time. I parked a block away from the house. Didn't want the new couple or Erin, or whatever she's calling herself now, to see me coming. The neighborhood looked too quiet. Too staged. Like a movie set waiting for action to start. The house looked happier. That's the only way I can describe it. Warm porch lights. Ivy trimmed. Curtains drawn just so. A subtle glow in every window like it was posing for its new life. I walked the long way around and came up through the backyard. The gate creaked too loud, but no one came out. I crouched by the basement entrance, the same one Erin used to come and go from, and unlocked the door with the old, tarnished key from the box. It turned without resistance. Inside, the basement was different again. Walls repainted. A cozy rug, fresh plants, diffuser mist curling in the air. A cheerful little welcome, chalkboard on the wall. But the far bedroom door? Still there. Still wrong. No trim, raw wood, cold air leaking out from beneath. I opened it. The room was empty, but it had presence. Like something had just left. Or was watching, invisibly. I placed the box in the center of the room, exactly where I found it. Then I took out a Sharpie and wrote my full name, first, middle, last, on the underside of the box lid. I said it out loud, too. 3 times. Like a charm. I don't know why. It just felt necessary. Felt like anchoring myself. That's when I heard it. From behind me, "You're making this harder than it needs to be." Erin stood in the doorway. Calm. Pale. Eyes too dark for the room's light. I didn't turn. Just said, "You can't have this one. I know who I am." She stepped closer. But the house doesn't. Not anymore. I could feel the floor warming beneath me. The walls pulsing, like a heartbeat, like the house was waking up, trying to decide who belonged here. And then, a sound I'll never forget. The front door opening. Voices. Laughter. The new couple coming in. Up there. I had seconds. I pulled a lighter from my pocket. Flicked it on. Held it to the edge of the photo in the box, my photo. It caught flame immediately, curling, blackening. Erin hissed. Not screamed. Hissed. Like steam under pressure. The lights flickered. The warmth vanished. And the heartbeat stopped. When the flame hit my scratched-out face, she staggered back. "You shouldn't have done that," she whispered. "Now the house will remember everything." I looked her dead in the eyes. Good. She vanished. Just gone. Like a blink. Like a thought unthought. The new couple never saw me. I snuck out as they were exploring the upstairs, their voices echoing like distant birds. I heard one of them say, "Wow, the energy in here is incredible." Of course it is. The box stayed in the basement. I left it there, burned photo and all. But I took the keys. Just in case. I live in a new place now. Not far, actually. And the house? The old house remembers me. Sometimes I drive by. Just to see. And sometimes, late at night, the porch light flicks on for a second like it's watching. But it doesn't invite me anymore. Because now I'm the previous. And that means someone else is next.